Good morning, Year 9. Here's your first video on the YouTube channel from Mrs. Cowlin. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Let me know how to improve. We're looking this week at non-communicable diseases. You've got a do now on the first slide. You know how these work. Obviously, you can pause the video while you answer these questions. Don't worry, the answers are on the next slide. And here are the answers. Obviously, for any of the questions here, it doesn't matter which order the answers go, providing you've got the right answers. Now, today we're going to think about what affects our health, and the World Health Organization, who we've all heard lots about from recently, says it's any attribute, characteristic or exposure of an individual that increases the likelihood of developing a disease or injury. These are not diseases that get passed between individuals. These are diseases that result from how you live your life. So if you've got it, doesn't mean that somebody in your family will have it or you can pass it on to them. It's not like a disease caused by a pathogen. Here are your 3 objectives from today. We're going to know what risk factors are. I'll be able to identify some risk factors, and favourite thing, we're going to be looking at some graphs and identifying trends. Remember that hashtag, guys. So, first of all, risk factors lead to an increased rate of certain disease. They can be aspects of a person's lifestyle or substances in the body or environment. Here's your first task. You've got 5 diseases. Think about what you know could actually be a risk factor for these diseases. I'm going to give you a few clues slowly. Some of these will apply to some of the items in the box, but not necessarily all of them to every item. First graph. Here we have got ice cream sales and sunburn. As you can see, both of these go up in July. This is obviously data from the northern hemisphere. So the 2 lines match, they correlate. They peak at the same time, they go down at the same time, but they're not a cause. Ice cream does not make you have sunburn. Sunburn does not make you eat ice cream, honestly. So if they're not caused by each other, what could they be caused by? I'm sure you've got a good answer to this, and hopefully we'll be having some of that weather before too long. Easy graph. Now, here are some diseases. You need to think about causal mechanisms, things that cause them, very similar words. If you don't know what the diseases are, I would suggest you write them in your book. You pause the video now, and you can go on and have a little look. Cardiovascular disease. Remember, cardio is to do with the heart. Vascular is to do with blood vessels, so that's blood vessels in the heart. Type 2 diabetes is this diabetes that you are not born with. It's diabetes you develop later in life. Liver disease, lung cancer, skin cancer, low birth weight of the baby, and fetal alcohol syndrome. That means something that affects a fetus or a newborn baby. Syndrome is a set of things that are exhibited by the individual. And here's some answers for you. Second task, there's some graphs coming up. You have to think carefully what each one shows. Write down a description of the trends. Remember, you can have something that increases over time, something that decreases over time. Always a good idea to mention dates if there are dates given on the graph or months of the year, because then it shows you've looked at it carefully. You need to review your description at the end, and can it be improved? Apologies, it looks like there might be a typo there. First one, diabetes and obesity in the United States. So you've got percentage of people with obesity, percentage of the population with diabetes, the years it goes between 1990 and 2008. So a good start, if you're talking about obesity, might be between 1990 and 2008. See how I've mentioned both year groups there. the percentage of the population with obesity has increased, and then for extra credit, from around 14% to around 33%. Can't be exact because we've got divisions there, but by mentioning the years and approximate numbers, you would get the maximum marks. Now have a go for diabetes. Now this is lovely pieces of liver. It's not just been cooked. You've got a healthy one on the left, a fatty one in the centre, fairly obvious what's happened there, and one with cirrhosis on the right. Cirrhosis is a disease that is the result of drinking alcohol heavily, either regular heavy drinking or regular binge drinking, where you drink a lot on one day of the week, then perhaps think you can rest for a few days, and then you have another big binge, but obviously not really long enough for your liver to recover. And here is another graph. No clues this time. You're going to have a go at it. Look at the dates. Look at the death rate. This is for under 65s. And write a sentence about each line. One is for England. One is for the European Union. So we're comparing data here from two different populations, although England will be part of the EU population for these dates. Next graph, looking at birth weight. Now obviously the babies are not smokers or non-smokers, but the chemicals that are within cigarette smoke that are inhaled into the lungs can get into the mother's bloodstream and pass across the placenta to the fetus. And here you've got some information about both smokers and non-smokers. You can have a look at the range of birth weights, that is the difference, and then you can have a look at the relationship between birth weight and smoking. Coronary heart disease, I have to tell you this, often comes up in tests and exams, so definitely worth having a look at. Blood pressure, we've all heard about that. Cholesterol is a fat that's in your diet. It's a hard fat. You need a certain amount, but too much is not so good for you, which is why there are products out there aimed to reduce your cholesterol. One name you might have heard of is Benecol, but there are others out there. You've got 6 possible risk factors. It's only data for 3 of them. Some of them are minuses and some of them are pluses, though, rather than actual numbers. Well, so that will make a difference. Find out what you can about the difference between coronary heart disease, CHD, for men and women. Now, you're going to get some information about people's lifestyles here, and you have to give advice to the people in here as though you are the doctor. They need all the help they can get at the minute. They're rather busy. So if somebody doesn't exercise, what would you advise them? What should they be doing? And if they don't, what might be the result? Same for smoking, and for drinking alcohol, and for having salty, fatty food in your diet. Probably all quite straightforward, probably all things you've heard of, possibly easier for some people to say than to do. Task to do at home here. You can search the risk factors for a disease of your choice. This needs to be, remember, a non-communicable disease, so one that is caused by lifestyle. You might want to look at skin cancer, you might want to look at obesity, you might want to look at type 2 diabetes. Go back through the PowerPoint to give you some ideas if you need to. Look at the costs of the UK economy of smoking, obesity and alcohol. Costs will include people being ill, people having treatment in hospital, people being absent from work, and see if you can find out whether the tax that is on the cigarettes and alcohol mean that the actual spending on people that drink a lot or smoke a lot is actually covered by the tax they pay. Is this the only cost? I've got an extension question here. Always a good idea to have a go at these, especially as you do have a lot of time at the moment. Happy for you to email me if you've got any questions with how to answer this, or you want me to look at your answers. Here's your objective review. Remember, maths and graph questions always come up at GCSE, so although they're a bit scary, it is definitely worth having the practice. As I said before, any questions, please email me. And stay safe and hope to see you all soon.